But I know one thing about Democrats in Florida. If you look at our gubernatorial year elections, there's one very clear statistic. Every time we get involved in divisive primaries, we lose. There's no question, and it makes sense if you think about it. If you think about what happens, you end up with with people who often share the same principles and the same goals, fighting with each other for basically who's going to turn out in a Democratic primary. And how are those people defined? They're people who are likely under any circumstances going to vote for any of the candidates in the general anyway. So you spend all your time and energy for a year and a half really arguing your money, arguing and trying to convince who's a better candidate, and then you have 58 days after the nomination is secured to convince the other 3 or 4 million Floridians who are actually going to vote in the election who you are and why you share their values. It's really hard. And the proof, of course, is the fact that over the last few election cycles, and our off-year elections like we're in right now, there's really been only one candidate who's won, Alex Singh. And guess what? She didn't have a primary. So for me, I'm in this U.S. Senate race, but I will likely be taking a sort of a step back from the race right now, because I think it's important as Floridians, not just as Democrats, but as Floridians, we try to figure out how to do this in a way that where we don't bring out the circular firing squad, which used to be our first and only modus operandi. That we really think about. We have a lot of very good leaders in this state, including Dave Ehrenberg, including Mayor Burns, who I'm sure will speak to you, including Kendrick, Meek, including people who can be up and down the ballot. But it's very important, I think, we step back for a second and figure out how best to put together a slate that represents not only our values and our principles, but can win on election day and avoid the kind of circular firing squad that has too often characterized our efforts. Because I do think more than anything, while ambition is terrific sometimes, it's really important that we elect people who can deliver the kind of change we're seeing on the national level. Because frankly, if you look at Florida, we have not had any change here at all. We have, Louis Garcia can tell you, we have a state legislature that is overwhelmingly Republican. And the problems our state are facing are much worse than any other state, whether it's the worst in the nation high school graduation rate, the 4 million people without health insurance, the second in the nation mortgage foreclosure rate, or the first in the nation shedding jobs. Things are worse here because of the decisions of the leadership of the state, the Republican leadership of the state, and we've got to change it. So my message today is a very simple one. I love the Netroots community. I'm a blogger. I believe in the word. I believe in the written word. I think it means something. I think it's powerful, and although people have shorter attention spans than they've ever had, I think it means something, and it can energize change. So you all are important. You are become a framework, a skeleton framework of getting messaging out there very quickly without having to worry about 24, waiting for the next election cycle, or the next day. I mean, things happen almost instantaneously right now, and you all have done a terrific job of getting messaging out, raising points, being truth tellers, doing the things that you hope, not every 24 hours, but literally every minute, and we've got to keep it up. But I do think this cycle is going to be how disciplined we are as Democrats, whether we can put together a group that delivers change and really changes the face of our state. For me, just so you know, I'll give you a brief bio. I grew up here in Tallahassee.